I didn't go live. Silly me. Well, now I'm live. I just opened OBS and just like assumed it would just go live. Incorrect. I was incorrect. You actually have to press the go live button. Sorry. Sorry I left you guys out for so long. But hey, at least you didn't have to see me. At least you didn't have to watch me reorganize my retainers. But yeah, we'll be doing some poetics farming today. And trying to upgrade Curly as a weapon. Still haven't read the description on Ver Arrow and Ver Thunder 2. Pathetic. What's up, Cito? Oops. Oh, you're pretty close. You're only 3 levels away. It should go fairly quickly, especially as dark. Still don't know exactly how this fight works. Obviously. All right, man. Have a good one. Oh, wow. No, I didn't know you could freeze midair. No. Do I have to share them? Yes. We'll see. Alright, so it's going to be Poetics that garnered us 255. Yeah, so that's plenty to upgrade. Curly's weapon. Nice. Congrats, Cybern. What's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, that quest line's actually pretty long to become a dragoon. Ugh. So I need to upgrade this gear. Still out? She got 28 minutes. Alright, I gotta go find a way to upgrade. Forgot what I needed to upgrade. I think it's carbon twine to upgrade the weapons. Dragoon's pretty cool. I don't play it often, but when I do, I enjoy it. Yeah. The go here and defeat this thing and claim this. Sort of like it was like a training course. I actually missed that guy, that Dusk White. It was a pretty cool. He was a pretty cool villain. Like, cause you could be sympathetic. You could understand his plight, you know. Yeah. Well, it's good to do them, though. They're good for experience and... yeah, mainly experience. And they help you learn the job a little better. So... yeah, so I just need a carbon twine. Do I not have a carbon twine? I don't have carbon coats. I'll just chill here. Wait for either the pop or my retainers to come back from their ventures. I was told again yesterday that the Shadowbringers is the best expansion so far. So I need to get there. Yeah, it's really good. They did a great job. Going into class is getting really fucking hard because many of the dishes require rare fish and small sharks. Yep. Which I then have to level fishing in, and even then that skill is really tough. Specific locations with specific bait to catch small fish, to use a small bait for sure. Yep. Yeah, for sharks. You have to mooch them with a high quality small fish. Yeah, it gets tricky. I got a bunch of fishing videos that I have yet to get off my hard drive because I haven't figured out how I'm gonna edit them. Yeah, another hard part about fishermen is that all your bait is takes up inventory. Ugh. All your bait takes up inventory, so you have to find a place to, push that off. And again, like sometimes to catch higher level fish, you have to have a bait that targets a lower level fish. You know? So it's like you have to keep all these baits on you. A lot of that stuff's been documented though, so you can usually find it pretty easy online. The hard part is, you know, incorporating that into your knowledge base. You know, incorporating all the different fish in the different locations into just like your offhand knowledge, which I'm not sure if there's anyone who's that dedicated to fishing to just be like, oh yeah, you get that fish from here during this time with this bait. You know? Because there's just so many fish. Yeah, that's what a lot of people do too. There have been some people that even went out of their way to change their Chocobo's name to Tackle Box. But yeah, I'm getting excited about getting a van. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do. If I'm just going to buy like a new van, like a nice new one, or like if I'm going to wait, like there's got to be an electric van out there somewhere. You know what I mean? Like I think that would be wicked. Have a van, have an electric van that's solar powered. Yeah. Because, like, I've been seeing some of these guys, they keep saying, like, oh, I've got 1,000 watt hours. You know, I've got 1,000 watt hours. It's like, and you use that for what? Heating water? You know? Exactly. That's what I really want. Yeah. Like, I really, like, I'm not sure. I linked you that Starlink thing, right? Yeah. I'd really want, like, I'd love to have 1 gigabit per second wireless internet. And I could just do this from my van through a VR headset or something like that. No, I've been watching a lot of these van videos. A lot of them are couples. And I keep thinking, like, I could get rid of that. I could get rid of that. I could get rid of that, you know? And a lot of them are trying to be like, they're trying to turn vans into homes. When, like, for me, like, I'm trying to turn my home, the place I live in right now, into, like, a minimalist space. You know, I'm trying to, like, take out all the things that I don't need just to save space in this condo. And, God, I can't remember the last time I walked into the kitchen. You know what I mean? Don't need any of that. Exactly. Don't need any of that domestic bullshit. A gaming office space fan. Exactly. Exactly. No, I was actually thinking, like, I should probably, like, take up carpentry or something like that. Or some kind of, like, skill, right? Like, maybe an electrician. And then I could make it my home and my work van. And I just travel to people's places, you know? Yeah. And I could build my own stuff. And that's probably what I would do. All these people that have, like, all this storage space, and they don't hang stuff on their walls. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really hang anything on the walls. They make cupboards, right? Which those take up space. And then they put things into the cupboards. It's like, you should just learn to hang stuff on the walls so that your cupboards aren't taking up so much space. Yeah, mobile craftsman. Well, I mean, technically, it could be a full-time income, you know? Like, just make it your business. I've seen some of these dudes, like, they're solar panel installers, and they do work out of their van that they live in. Hydroponic farm on the wall. That's what I was thinking, too. I was actually thinking about doing that with the condo. Was just turning the entire living room into a hydroponic farm. I've actually seen people, they will grow stuff in their basement and they'll sell it to local farm, or not farms, local restaurants. They call it micro seeding or micro growing or something like that. They grow things that don't take a lot of space. Yeah, and they make, God, they were making like, it was two of them, it was a couple, and they did it in their basement, and I think they were making something like 10 grand a month. That's 5 grand between the two of them. Just selling food directly to restaurants. And they lived in like a suburban development. You know, they didn't live on a farm. They just had a basement. And I was thinking like fuck, I could turn this place into something like that. But I'm much more of like ever since I built this like chair bed station, I'm not sure if you've seen it yet. I think you've seen it. With the articulating arms, and I've got a laptop on it, and I've got my TV on the ceiling. Ever since I started doing that, I was like, man, like I love just like reimagining all this standard stuff and tweaking it and getting rid of what's not needed. Yeah. Like a bed, for example. Like a bed doesn't need to be... No one needs a king-size bed. Not even for 2 people. Like, queen is good for 2 people. Like, a king-size bed is good for only the super obese and obese people. Like an obese couple. That, like... Yep. That also wants to like sleep with their Great Dane. Their pet Great Dane. You know. Or basketball players. I can see Shaquille O'Neal needing a king-size bed. Dude's fucking huge. It's like, I think he's pushing like 7 foot. Yeah. So I could see some professional basketball players needing it. Professional fat basketball players and fat people. But yeah, me, I'm pretty fat, and like even I don't need a queen just for me. But yeah, like I was saying, I was watching these build your own van videos, and I was like, that's a waste of space. You don't need that. Like an induction oven or an induction stovetop. I think that's pretty cool. But like all these people like building showers into their vans, I just get a gym membership. $40 a month, 24-hour fitness. There's like literally thousands of locations across the country. You know. And actually I was just watching this one person. Her sister was a nurse, and she was talking about how they keep clean on the road, and they don't even really take showers. What they do instead is they'll get a rag, and they'll soak it, and then they'll soak their body with the rag, and then they'll grab like one of those loofah sponges, or one of those one of those, I forgot what they called it. It's like a sponge that, like, you put a liquid soap on there and it, like, makes it really sudsy. And then, actually, and this girl didn't even do that. She would just take the rag, soak it, then she'd soak herself in it, and just wet herself down. Then she'd put a little bit, after she got wet, she'd put a little bit of soap on the rag directly while it was still wet. Then she would wipe herself down again. Then she would wring out the rag, soak it again, and then she'd rinse herself off. Yeah, basically a sponge bath, yeah. Ah. But yeah, that way you're not, like, it's not water pouring on you and then dropping off of you and going down into a drain. So, like, why people get showers built into those vans, I don't understand. It is totally not a necessity. And I just think it's like some of the people that do that, they just do it because it's like, whoa, shower in the van. You know, like, nah, I ain't about that. Your right arm didn't work? Couldn't stand in the shower. Yeah, I see. No more onions. Yeah, I mean, well, and it saves so much water, too. You know? Like, I think I actually might look into doing that from now on. Like I said, like, I hang my clothes now. I don't put my clothes in the dryer anymore. It's just a waste of electricity. Why would I spend money drying my clothes when I just hang them up? And actually, what I like about hanging your clothes more is they're really stiff. So, like, collared shirts. You know, that was one of the biggest problems I had with a lot of my collared shirts was the collars would always die. But, like, if you just hang it out to dry, it re-stiffens the collar. And drying does a lot of damage to your clothes, too. Yep. So, yeah, like, even though I own a dryer, I think I'm going to just stop using it. I don't really need it. I think the only reason I would use it is for, like, emergency situations. Like, if something wasn't dry yet from when I hung it out to dry the night before or something, and I had to go to work and my socks were still wet, okay, yeah, I'll put my socks into the dryer for 15 minutes. But I don't see, like, and how I came across that is I guess that's how other countries like England and France, like, they don't really they have dryers, but they don't use them on the regular. You know, like, here in the United States, we use our dryers like every time we do laundry. When you go buy a washer, you have to go buy it. It's like, it is known. you got to go buy a washer and dryer. It's like they're always a pair. You know, it's like, actually the dryer's not that useful. And so that is one thing that I would have in my van instead of a shower, would be a portable clothes washer. Because, like, hand washing your own clothes is a real bitch. Like, literally, like, the settlers back in the day, back when, like, being a stay-at-home mom was literally like work, you know. Being a stay-at-home mom now is not work. You have too many devices that totally just do the work for you. Like for example, a dishwasher. Like, a dishwasher does the work for you. Like, it's automatic. Washer. You know, back in the pioneer days, you know, like, you didn't have a washer. you had that tub, and it was full of soap, and you had that like little washboard, and that's what you got. That was it. Yeah, that too is like it would. That's what I was thinking, like as well. Yeah, at first I was thinking, I probably would get an induction stovetop, but again, using electricity just to make heat is incredibly inefficient. It's one of the most inefficient things to use electricity for. I learned that by delivering washers and dryers. That's why a lot of people like those gas dryers. The natural gas dryers. They take very little electricity, and it's technically more efficient and cost effective. Yeah, exactly. If you've got appliances, you don't really need a wife. Like, the wife would have to serve other purposes, you know what I mean? And that's probably why we have, both parents working. That's probably why it's the paradigm. Because literally machines already took over the female's job in the home. Or the homemaker's job, I should say. There's nothing there isn't anything hard about that. It's not a hard thing. And when I say it's not a hard thing, I mean, I'm not saying it's not hard. A man could easily do it. I'm saying anyone could do it. It's like, it's not hard for women either, Like, you're not fooling anybody. Cleaning is just something that you do, Not that I've ever tried that. Cleaning and cooking are just things that you do, Like, you've got to be able to do that. I would say there are other aspects that would be... I would say the only thing that, like, hasn't been completely automated from, like, the homemaker lifestyle or homemaker expectations, and this was rare to eat too, like, you don't really commonly hear of, a homemaker's job gardening, but like, if you had a wife and you had a house and you had a garden, it was kind of expected that the wife would tend to the garden, That's not really... That would be something that would have to be paid attention to. That you can't just stick a robot on it, Or a machine in this case. I mean, there might be a day where you can just completely automate the growing and picking process, but not yet. Yeah. But one thing that was a part of, getting food, especially in the pioneer days, was hunting. And that was, generally tended to be reserved for the men anyways. And from hunting, you would learn to cook. Usually because it was so heavy, you couldn't really eat. You couldn't drag the whole thing back as easily back in the day. So a lot of times you would have a hunting party. It'd be like you and your son and like maybe your neighbor or something like that, and you go hunting elk, and you would eat some of it while you were out there when you hunted it, and you'd camp for the night, and you'd pack it up, and you bring it back the next morning. But I mean, that's not... That too is not a thing because of grocery stores. Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. You don't have to destroy your gear anymore. Yep. The only problem is, like, it's not 100%. You know, so you go to... You try to, like, retrieve your materia that you've slotted into your gear, and it'll fail sometimes. But I like the idea of growing materia through your gear. You know, and that's the thing too. A lot of these, like, machine things have made these previously man-only endeavors easily doable by women. You know, so like there's just like there really is no excuse anywhere. You know. Not so much in hunting. I mean, that's always been like that. But I mean, girls can hunt too. Like with I guess, yeah, I would say the rifle. You know, because I don't know, maybe the bow and arrow was harder. No, because you got like recurve bows too. You could a woman could go hunting, and a woman could fish too. You know, like it's not a strength-based activity. You know, that necessitates a lot of upper body strength, you know? Like... yeah. I keyed. Am I frozen in this block? I am. They're hiding behind me. Now I get to go. But yeah, in today's day and age, a lot of these like manual processes have been... You can either use the system... Yo, Warlord, how's it going, man? You can either use the system and it's, you know, the network and how it works. You can either do that, or you can have a machine offload the labor a lot of times. You know, so like, again, with the shower. A shower, I really liked the way that they re-envisioned it. That girl was talking about, because her sister was a nurse. That's how nurses do it. Like, that makes a lot of sense. And it saves a lot of money and time. Well, maybe not so much time. But yeah, like, it really does put the... like shower concept under a, you know, it's a luxury. Having a shower is a luxury. So yeah, I wouldn't have a shower in my van. That's a waste of space. And a permanent bed. I don't think I'd have a permanent bed either. Like a lot of these people with their beds, like, it takes up so much space. Like, I'd be okay with 2 shelves or like 2 benches, and then having a like cushion that you put onto the bench. Like, that makes a lot more sense to me than actually having like dedicated space for just a bed. Ooh. How's it going, Warlord? I was thinking about you today, actually. Because I want to do a stream here one of these days where we actually play around in DaVinci Resolve. Friday? Yeah, we'll try to do it Friday. I'll call it Teaching Warlord How to Stream or something. I don't know, I haven't figured it out yet. Oh, I leveled up. Dang, son. Contre Sixte. But yeah, the big one is that home internet is so much faster and cheaper at the moment. Like, unlimited home internet and unlimited wireless internet is like the same price. It's like $50 a month. Which reminds me, I need to resettle my Comcast bill because I'm paying way too much money for way too little for way too little speed. But I need to get a new modem first. What was I saying? But yeah, actually, I might go that route. I might just go pure. Like, I can't. That's what sucks about this condo is cell phone internet. No go here. Like it. I had a buddy who lived with me for a little bit, just as a transitionary period, and he was testing out the cell phone signal in my bedroom, and he just couldn't get any, because that was how he accessed the internet almost exclusively, was through his cell phone, and he couldn't get any like service here. So yeah, I would like to just switch to having just wireless internet and just forego having a home cable modem. But because now a lot of the plans are unlimited. I might wait for 5G. to switch. You know what? I think I'll put these on her and just upgrade the new ones and just use the new ones myself. Oh wait. I'm gonna give her these first. There. Now she's max eye level. Well, not quite for her level, but because she's level 53. But this should hold her off for a while. Now I need to upgrade. Oh, I need a carbon twine. That's right. Oh. Which means... let's see if there's a bonus for DPS. There is. Cool. We'll do that. Oh, I don't want to repair this stuff. I'm about to get rid of it. I think I'll hold off. I think I can get away with one more run. Oh, I only have 165 tomestones. That's not gonna do. I'm gonna have to do like main scenario in the dungeon. The 50, 60, 70 dungeon. Oh, but anyways, yeah, van life. Like, I think it's like I think it's gonna be my new goal. Like, that's all my money is gonna go towards that. I'm still debating whether or not I want to just straight out sell this place, or if I'm just gonna rent this out while I live in the van. I think I'm gonna buy the van first, and then try to live in it and see how it is. And like, if I like it, then either sell the place to upgrade it, to upgrade the van to make it cooler or whatever, or just start renting out the place and using it as a an income stream. But I gotta get out of debt first. That was another thing too. I was thinking like a lot of these people, they'll put like carpet in their van. I think like I would rather have a van that I could just like spray out, you know? Like I want like a waterproof on the inside van and just spray out the van. No sweeping, no vacuuming, you know, none of that. Just I want to be able to take a hose and just hose the whole thing down without having to like tuck stuff away or anything. I want everything out in the open and I want to be able to just hose it all down. You're banned from a stream today from a misunderstanding in chat. I'll explain to you the details another time. Anyways, I DM'd him via Twitch to explain the context to what I said, and the dude at first wanted to remain on the offensive, but I just kept my ground, being polite and reasonable, and after about an hour plus, we finally came to peace. Jesus, some folks are sensitive. Crazy. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'll be interested in hearing the details on that story. But yeah, it's a huge thing too. It's just a lot of people today, they have no chill, you know. And they just interpret everything in the worst way possible. I blame the hyperpolarization of our nation at this conjunction. I think that's what it is. Just everyone's on edge. Yeah, I guess that's a good thing too. That's another thing too, because I'm not a big streamer, so I don't really have a bunch of people coming in here trolling me. So I don't know what it would be like day after day after day having that. So that could be too. I don't know, man. Phase 2, it's just wearing a mask. That's it. Life is literally no different. I literally do nothing else. Everything else is exactly the same. Just people are wearing masks now. It sucks. I think it's dumb, but it is what it is. Like I remember I was walking, like people don't social distance anymore. Yeah. They no, I don't think that. I think masking up is dumb. Because like I've seen these videos where like they'll test like here's you sneezing without a mask and how you could potentially spread the disease. And here's you coughing without a mask and how you could spread the disease. Stay home! Fuck you! And here's, you know, I was watching this whole thing. I was like, yeah, okay. If someone is coughing and sneezing, stay home. You know, like that should be like really the only thing, you know. It's like right now at my job, when I come to the warehouse to deliver bread, they always ask me, "Are you feeling okay today? Do you have any COVID symptoms?" And I say no. But then I'm thinking like, why would I ever say yes? Who would ever say yes? They've already started their day. It's 4:00 in the fucking morning. They've already got their clothes on. They went to work. They loaded their van. They're at the grocery store to do their job. Who's gonna say, "Oh yeah, I'm not feeling great today"? Yeah, I'm just gonna go home now. You know, like no one, literally no one. It's never gonna happen. Not one time will it happen. Like, oh yeah, I've got the sniffles. Oh well, we can't let you in. Oh really? But I just have the sniffles. You know, like it's pointless. So I would say that is another difference, right? Is there's all these like extra checks, specifically in what I do, because I deal with food, right? And it's like, if I had COVID, or if I had COVID symptoms, and I need the money, I'm going to be doing the shit anyways. And that's what everyone else is going to do. You know, and it doesn't matter that I have the mask on or not, right? So, and here's the thing. So okay. So I don't have COVID. Here's the things that I don't do, and I've never done, and I've never seen people do in public on the regular. That is, 1, walk up to people's faces and sneeze in them. 2, cough at people. Again, that I don't see that. That'd be like blowing smoke in someone's face. That's super fucking rude. No one does that, right? Well, I wouldn't say no one does that. Some people do that. But that's the thing, is if you don't have symptoms, you shouldn't have to wear a mask. Oh, but you might be asymptomatic, but still have the virus. It doesn't matter, because you're not sneezing and coughing on people. And you're keeping socially distant. So it doesn't matter if you're asymptomatic, as long as you're not rubbing your sweat on other people, sneezing in their faces, coughing in their faces. Mask doesn't matter. A mask should be worn by people who are symptomatic, and they might not have COVID, right? Masks should be worn by people who just have like the sniffles, or who are sick, or who have coughing fits, right? Those are the people that should be wearing masks. People who feel fine, no reason they should be wearing masks. And if you see someone who has symptoms and said that they didn't, then you send them home. If you see someone sneezing or coughing and they don't have a mask, then that's when you start making laws and putting fines on people. You know, make that the new law. You don't get to sneeze in public. You don't get to cough in public. That's the law now. I would much rather have that than everyone has to wear a mask. Because I think that's more appropriate. And that's more in line with actually controlling the disease. And that's worth the sacrifice, right? You want to be in public, don't sneeze in public. Or there are certain ways you can sneeze. But if you're seen sneezing in someone's face, like outright, achoo, you know, like a fucking moron, and not like a... I've learned throughout my life to sneeze without doing the whole achoo bullshit. You just hold in your sneeze. It's not that hard. You can hold in coughs too. You don't have to let it out. Right? A lot of these people, the reason why they cough so loudly is because they're trying to hack up stuff in their throat. And they're trying to hack it up and push it out. Right? Like, those people need to be fined or arrested. You don't get to cough like that in public. I don't care if you're sick. You shouldn't be like that in that state in public. But a normal person who is perfectly fine, who's not sneezing on people, who's not who doesn't have any symptoms, is not sneezing on people, is not rubbing their wet bodies on people, like that should be. You shouldn't have to wear a mask for that. The whole wear a mask thing, I think, is ridiculous. And I don't like this idea of it like being a new normal. I've heard people talking about like kids aren't going to know what it's like to not wear a mask in public. I think it's bullshit. Like that is bullshit. And I don't think it's like, judging by the science, it's there. It doesn't add up. Not all people are potential carriers of bombs at a convention or whatever. They're profiles for reasons they don't come from. Yeah. Yeah, I think Sam Harris made that point one time. You know, it's like the likely suspect would be any military-aged males. You know, and you don't have to say of a certain religion or wearing a certain garb. I wouldn't even put it down that much, right? Because, I mean, domestic terror exists, and there's plenty of, like, white dudes that do it, right? Like, so, like, I wouldn't say, like, oh, he's got to tell on us, then we must, you know, we got to stop only those guys, you know, or at the airport. Like, no, like, if it's plausible that you could be a potential terrorist, then, and I guess that's the trick, right? Is it's like anyone could potentially have a bomb on them, you know, because like old folks can get tricked into stuff, you know. It's almost like when you make a rule, they go out of their way to try to circumvent it. You know what I mean? So I think it's partly what they should do is have a behind the scenes, like, this is who we really check. And then out in public, they just say, oh, we'll just check everyone. You know? That way, like, you don't want to, especially when it comes to terrorism, you don't want to tell them what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Because then they'll just dress and act and work around those parameters, you know? But I also don't think viral infection is terrorism. But yeah, I'm fine with the new normal being basically being a, what would you call it? Just making people mind their manners, you know? Because that is normal. It's already normal, you know? It's already normal not to sneeze in people's faces. It's already normal not to cough in public like that. You know, and if someone never, and I think it's like, we've been teaching that in our schools and in polite society for so long that it's common culture at that point. To the point where, like, if people aren't doing it, then yeah, fine, bring out the law. You know, especially during a pandemic like this. Work for the TSA. The people, yeah, exactly, right. Some argue that is how it is. The real terrorists are those types, the ones at the, you know, the ones who are able to force all this shit on us. Those are the real terrorists. Bye. Oh, I didn't even check what group I'm in. I think I'm Group B. Oh, C. Well, I think there's a lot of, I wouldn't say there's like a lot of evidence, but there's definitely a lot of like, not physical evidence, but circumstantial evidence, right? For the whole inside job stuff. And a lot of it's just follow the money, you know? You just follow, like, you follow the money, you have a motive. Money is motive. That's all you need for a motive. And once you're following motivations, like, that's... Sometimes I've looked into this stuff and I think, like, why are they not doing it? You know, it's like it would be worse if they weren't. Like, for example, my theory on 9/11, you know, I don't think the planes were just organically brought down by terrorists. Like, I think maybe one was, but that whole heroic story of them charging the cockpit or whatever, I don't think that happened. I think it was shot down. And it's just like, because when you look at it, like, if they were doing their jobs correctly, and that's all that is, right? Like, this is all I'm saying, is if they did do their job correctly, they would have shot the plane down, right? It sounds harsh at the time, right? Like, oh my God, an American pilot of a fighter jet shot down a passenger plane. No, he shot it down because he had to. That's his fucking job during a terrorist hijacking, right? That is the protocol. That's what you're supposed to do. Can those assholes please stand on the goddamn platform? Please, assholes? Assholes. It's not going to happen unless you stand on the fucking platform. None of us go. Get on your fucking platform. There you go. Jesus. Yeah, please do. I'll share it on the stream too. Write a series based on as many conspiracies as possible as a universe of its own. Flat Earth, reptilian. Yeah, making them all true. Well, like, there's some conspiracies that aren't conspiracies, right? Like, Freemasons not a conspiracy. Freemasons exist. I think it's all the stuff around it, right? That's the conspiracy. The reptilians is dumb. I still have yet, like, I remember back in my small town, reptilians have been inserted. I don't know how it got inserted into things, but, like, yeah. Actually, I was thinking about that today. Nah, I can't talk about it. Not on stream. maybe in a private conversation. But, like, I legit think, like, the whole reptilians thing... I will say this. I think the reptilians thing is just a cover for anti-Semitism. Right? And there's a metaphor behind it as to why it would be that way. And why it's basically code talk. But it requires some kind of, like, shifty racial thinking, which is not what I think or condone, but I was thinking about it today. I was like, oh, that's probably why that whole reptilian thing came about, because it's not just like the reptilians in power, you know, in politics. From my small town, it was about, they used the reptilian argument for people who were in a cult. You know, they're like, oh, that cult, that local cult, yeah, they all believe in reptiles, live on the dark side of the moon. You know, and I never verified that. I never verified that with people from the cult. They obviously don't think they're in a cult, of course, but I only knew one person who claimed that they were part of it, and she was an insurance adjuster. And, like, I legit told her that she was dumb, and that makes no sense. And mainly we were on friendly terms, but mainly the reason why I said that was because she was being really smug about like the fact that she went to this special school. I was like, yeah, that school's not special. That school is telling you about how you can connect your hair strands and telepathy and shit. Like, that shit's not real. Don't even come at me with that. You know, like, until you can prove it, until you prove any of that shit, any of it, right? Then I might take your word. You know, then I might take you somewhat seriously. But right now, don't pretend that you're smarter than everybody else. And you're clearly not. Because you believe in that stupid bullshit. Ramtha. Uh-oh. DC. Like, it's crazy how much shysterism is going on in there. And how it's like how obvious it is. It's like how are people literally falling for this bullshit? You know. But like, again, a lot of them, they just like grew up in it. Yep. It's probably not called a cult. The head of it, I forgot what her name, Jay-Z Knight, recently came out and said that it wasn't a religion, right? And the main reason is because she wants to get the feds off her back. It's just a learning program. It's not a religion. But that, yeah, the problem is, like, I say this, you know, like, I don't believe any of the cults and stuff and the conspiracy theories, but the problem is when you do find out how much money she's been giving to certain political parties over the past couple of decades. And then you realize, oh, okay, so that's what's going on. That's where it gets kind of conspiracy-ish. But at the same time, you know, like, that's what businesses do. Like, there are plenty of businesses that give a shit ton of money to certain political candidates. Especially local candidates. And to be honest, it's because it's basically protection money. You know? When you give a bunch of political donations to the party that's in charge of your local community, that's basically protection money. Yep. Exactly, Cyber. Yep. Yeah, and I grew up around that. I didn't grow up in it. I'm not an expert on it, right? But I was just referring to all of like the rumors and hearsay. And I know reptilians is a part of that. Another one is lining your roof with, it's either copper or gold. That's another hearsay rumor about all those folks. Oh, just a second. group completely skipped it. Group B just like everyone in Group B just left. They didn't even open up their chest. And since I'm not in Group B, I can't open it. You can't connect to Steam. Yeah, I fell for that documentary. Partially because they were mentioning string theory, and I was really into string theory at the time. But yeah, I didn't even know who she was because I'd never seen her before, even though I grew up in the area. I'd never seen her before, and I was like, I just thought she was just like some random person, you know. And I was telling a buddy about mine about it. I was like, "Oh, have you ever seen this documentary?" Blah blah blah, you know. And it says a lot of pretty like convincing stuff in terms of like string theory and stuff, you know. But it starts, but what it kind of made me relook string, you know, take another look at string theory as well. I was talking to my grandpa about it before he died, and he's like, "Yeah, no, string theory is too. I mean, it's got a groundwork, but that's it. It's the error bars on the theory are just way too far off for it to be considered serious." Yeah, I remember like seeing it and talking to it with my friends. One of it was like specifically was the water study, you know, of it was something like they froze water after like a Buddhist monk had prayed at it or whatever, and like a Buddhist monk had given like good thoughts to the water, and the crystals like formed better or something like that. And yeah, this was back also too when like I took, all you had to do was say that this is what science says, and I was like, but science says, you know, I would just repeat it. You know, I don't do that anymore. Mostly because of that film and string theory. I was like, oh yeah, you know, sometimes people aren't exactly correct, you know, and they really just like to run with a new concept that could possibly break a new paradigm, and it's more about selling speech tickets, you know. That's the thing now, you know. People will sell out like concert halls to go watch people like Sam Harris or Richard Dawkins speak, you know, or someone who sells a book, you know. They don't have to be correct, you know. It's more about the buzz that they create out through these like social channels than it is really about what they do in their work. You know, Sam Harris is a neuroscience scientist, but I hear fuck all about neuroscience on this podcast. It's mostly about shitting on Trump, hating religion, and doing psychedelic drugs. That's pretty much Sam Harris's podcast in a nutshell. And, you know, talking about, usually it's political. It's mostly political. It almost has nothing to do with neuroscience, which he's a neuroscientist. So the lack of neuroscience on his podcast is kind of disconcerting. You know, like I get it. You know, at least Richard Dawkins like talks about biology and evolutionary biology, and like that's what he's passionate about. And at least, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson is really passionate about astrophysics, right? and astronomy, right? But Sam Harris, he's He's a neuroscientist that never talks about neuroscience. Yeah. 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 Yep. Early days of YouTube in particular. Yep. Well, and I think a lot of those have taken root, and a lot of those people still feel that way, right? A lot of those people still follow those people, you know. Amazing Atheist still has a ton of followers. Thunderfoot still has a ton of followers. Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins. Not so much as Daniel Dennett died, didn't he? No. Yeah, actually, I think Daniel Dennett died, and Christopher Hitchens died. I think two of those dudes died. The Four Horsemen. So there's only two of the Four Horsemen left. Stephen Hawking's like, that was sad, man. When Stephen Hawking died, that sucked. That sucked. Yep. I remember you saying that too. Like, oh, this guy. Yeah. And so they still got their followers, and people took their positions, and they're hunkering down. I've shifted. I don't know. Maybe I didn't shift. I've shifted politically, and a bit in my scientific veracity, right? And what I'm willing to accept and entertain. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I've been disillusioned quite a bit. But I think that's common for most mid-30-year-olds. Having it explained to him so many times. Right? You'd think. And that's another one that I'm still kind of like I'm not like questioning it. Can you still not log into Steam? Because I never got that picture, Warlord. Yeah, I just think Lamarckian evolution needs to be revisited. I think we were talking about that back when you lived here. You know, like how much of the effect of the environment affects. It's like, how would you get these changes? Like, how can you say that these people are black because they live in this area? Right? And that it's only through random mutation do you get all these other colors of people. But saying that those people are black because they're from that area, mainly because it's so sunny there, like that does explain why they're that color. like that does work, right? But then they say that it's a gene, like there's a skin color black gene or a skin color white gene, right? But so that is like saying that I could genetically manipulate an in utero baby that should be white. Like if it had a white mother and a white father, the in utero baby should be white, but I could genetically manipulate it to have black skin. I don't know so much about that, right? But that makes sense, right? So you have this hybrid of these people who live in this location for so long, for so many years, developed these characteristics. Yeah, genes can adapt. But I think that's the issue, is like they keep saying it's like millions of years and like thousands of generations or whatever in order for those changes to take effect. But I don't think it takes that long. Like, I think you could probably do it in 4 or 5. Cool. Let's check it out. Also a killer, Dr. Cloud. Where are you at, Warlord? There you are. Oh, Discord? I don't have Discord, man. You gotta send it through Steam. Just like you did your other ones. Yeah. Yeah, it should be coming up here soon in the Yokai Watch event. But yeah, I just think that environment has a much larger effect. And I think and then there's other aspects too, like diseases, like genetic diseases. I think the environment has a harsher effect on evolution than what they're claiming, than what I think is in the general populace, or at least what's being communicated to the general populace. Like, I do believe that you could get like a fat gene, and you could have a bunch of fat people procreating over generations to the extent where babies will come by default fat, and they'll grow into fat people, and that will become the normal body type of that particular tribe or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Or like other things, like dwarfism, Yeah, and because I think there are some things that you can affect in the short term and in one generation. And then if you just keep working on those things throughout a couple of generations, you could end up pushing the gene in that direction. You know what I mean? So like training the gene into that direction. Yeah. So I do think that they need to take another look at Lamarckian. And I've seen books on it too. I'm not the only one. A lot of people are talking. I forgot what it was called. Specifically, the book that I saw, but I was just browsing around in Barnes and Noble. I was like, oh, cool, someone wrote a book on it. It was just something along the lines of re-examining DNA through a Lamarckian evolutionary perspective or something like that. That wasn't the title, but oh, hey. Ha! Cool, dude. Pretty blue for a red mage. That's pretty cool. What sword is that? Warlord. I dig the glowing effect on the robe too. What robe is that? But yeah, usually the ones that I throw out, in my older age, I've become more accepting of religious beliefs. But it kind of depends on their delivery and how fervent the person is pushing the point. You know what I mean? Ah, okay, that's cool. That's cool, Warlord. It's for example, it was definitely with the gay marriage debate back in the day. Every avenue I went down, I kept trying to look at it from a rational perspective, and every counter argument to it devolved into a religious reasoning. Yeah. Now, I think there's more, and this isn't against gay marriage, but it's more for the institution of marriage, which I was also against back then. The data on it, where they've measured 2-parent households versus single-parent households, and the data is almost, it's too heavy to deny that you'll be making more well-rounded, adaptable, smarter, successful children if you have a 2-parent household than if you have a 1-parent household is like, it's almost as bad as, well, actually, it leads to incarceration. Having a 1-parent household is one of the most common things amongst people who have been in prison. It's like in the 90s%. People who have been in prison come from a 1-parent household. What am I doing? Oh, I did Labyrinth of the Agents, so I got to go back to Mordona. That's what I was doing. So when they were arguing back in the day that you have to have 2 parents in a household, they were assuming a man and a woman, and they couldn't really comprehend a woman and a woman or a man and a man being parents, and they didn't count that as a 2-parent household, right? Because of their religious reasoning. That was always tucked under in the background. But when they pointed to the 2-parent household study, I mean, it's true. It's true enough to where it's like that, to where you should make decisions based off of that data. It's solid data, right? But when you then mention lesbians are 2 people, and a gay couple is still 2 people, right? When you start arguing that, then it's like, oh, blah, 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 but God, and then it's like, okay, you're done. That's where I shut down most religious idea and thought. No, it's the exact opposite. You only get a cut for doing it, right? And the reason why, here's the reason, the argument for marriage, right? It's that the concept in and of itself, it's the smallest form of government, right? I would say the only thing smaller than that would be the individual. The only thing smaller than the family would be the individual. But what a family unit does is help rear children into living in a society in a way that classrooms can't, and that classrooms don't. And that classrooms fail to do. And so by strengthening the family unit and incentivizing the family unit and incentivizing people to make families, you will have a populace that will be less likely to go and be incarcerated or to commit crimes. So that's the connection. I wouldn't jump directly to it, but that's how they connect it. And there is something to be said about doing little things that make big. So, like, for example, you don't believe in gay marriage, or you don't believe in marriage at all, but you do believe on a tax on plastic bags. Right? So, like, the tax on plastic bags, especially it's super cheap one, right? Like, all of the, and I fall for it, but I fall for it because I prefer it that way, right? I don't like using plastic bags, right? But when I go to the store and they say, "Hey, do you want a bag?" And they would say, "Hey, would you like to buy a bag?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "It's only 10 cents." And it's like, I don't care, right? Just them saying I have to pay 10 cents is getting so many people to not buy bags. Because they don't see the bag as being worth 10 cents. Even though 10 cents is such a small amount, right? And you could even have that bag and reuse it if you wanted. It's your bag, you bought it, right? But before, without that tax, people were just like, they would just bag it automatically. And then people would just throw their bags out the window or whatever. And then we'd have fucking trash bags flying around all over the fucking place. But then places that do enact this stupid little tax and this stupid little law about plastic bags, well, would you look at that? Even though it's stupidly cheap to buy a plastic bag, the streets are a lot fucking cleaner, and you don't see nearly as many fucking plastic bags flying around. You know? With that being said, I did find it this morning. I was pulling up to one of my stops, and there was these fucking trash birds, goddamn seagulls, just attacking the shit out of these trash bags that I think fell off of a garbage truck or something like that. And yeah, it was all over the fucking place. It was so gross. But they weren't bags that you get from the grocery store. And that's the thing. And so if you can make an argument for having plastic bags to stop plastic pollution in your localized area, you can also make an argument for marriage. And that's where I'm now on the fence. When I used to be on your side of it, you know, I'm not for gay marriage because I'm not for any marriage. The reason was because I was a male. And I was looking at the institution of marriage and how it's mainly the institution of divorce, less so the institution of marriage. But I was looking at the institution of divorce and how that just fucks men. Just fuck them. You know, it fucks all men almost always. You know, I am against marriage for that reason. But if we were to amend the marriage laws, or amend the divorce laws to be more fair in terms of marriage, I would have probably back then be a lot more conducive to marriage. And I am now. When you look at now that I understand that the broader national discourse has its roots in the smaller areas, right? So before, I always used to be concerned only about the macro. I'd only be concerned about what the federal government was doing. I'd only be concerned about who was running for president, and I wouldn't be concerned about my local leaders, and I wouldn't be concerned about my friends and their opinions and why they thought the way that they thought. You know, I would only hold these people who are running for president up. I would only hold their concepts and values up to scrutiny, and I wouldn't hold the concepts and values up to scrutiny of my local area. And again, you know, if you have and you have these arguments abroad too, right? So like a lot of the reason why British people are so interested in our politics over here is because what happens over here gets pushed over there. And I used to kind of call bullshit on it because I was like, no, you guys are your own thing. Like that's not how it works. But then like I was watching this one guy in Dublin, and he was giving a political speech to people in Ireland, and all it was about Trump. It wasn't about anybody else. It wasn't about Ireland's local politics. It wasn't even about Ireland's association with the United States of America. It was just this Irish politician bitching about Trump. Dude, fix your own fucking country. You know what I mean? Like, and he wasn't even like giving advice, right? He wasn't giving advice to the United States. He wasn't like, he was bitching about Trump to scare his local populace. That just made no sense to me. That would not happen here. I would not see a local politician bitching about Sarkozy or Brown, you know, or well, we do see people bitching about Putin all the time, but like to scare people here. You know, usually the scare around Putin is, oh, Putin's trying to attack the United States, right? But here in this Irish dude's dialogue, it was all about Trump doing Trump things, and none of it was about Ireland. None of it was about how we should fix the United States, or how maybe the United States could borrow some of Ireland's cultural norms to fix the United States. I'm like, I'm open to that stuff, but like, don't just bitch about other people's, especially as a politician. Like, you're the guy that's like in his role in your country. What are you doing talking about? Like, people voted, like Irish people voted that guy in. They didn't vote him in to get another United States president elected. They voted him in to get shit done for his people in his area. It made no fucking sense to me. Anyways, however, as the laws being as they are now, if marriage is totally open, you and I should be able to get married. Well, we are. Yeah, actually, I've thought about that multiple times. I was like, damn, I should get a van and marry Stivern and just use it as like a total joke, you know? Like, I think it'd be funnier as a joke, like have like our wedding photo, quote unquote, and it's just like us holding, like shaking hands and holding a certificate. You know, just like, we're married, you know. And then people will be like, oh, you got gay married? Like, no, we didn't get gay married. We just got married. They're like, oh, you're that progressive. You don't even see it as gay marriage. Like, no, it's because we're not gay. Whoa, you guys are so progressive. No, literally, we're not gay. Yeah, exactly. Shaking hands and making out with chicks. You know, and you could go to bars and stuff and like hit on chicks like that. Be like, oh man, my husband was saying, you know, me and my husband the other day. Or use that as a deterrent. You're like, oh no, sorry, I'm married. Like some girl you're really not interested in. Oh no, I'm married. Thanks though. But then some girl that you are interested in. Oh hey, you want to go on a trip with me and my husband? Is there cat girls there? There are, indeed. Oh, because here's the thing too, right? Like, I do want kids, but I don't want a woman to have my kids, right? So I'm out of luck in that instance, right? Like, cloning's illegal. We can't make human clones, right? Like, the closest thing, like, this is where I actually sympathize with Michael Jackson, right? Like, in how he had his kids. He literally paid for his kids, and he paid for a surrogate mother to have his children. And that was the rule. You don't get to be mom. You are not mom. There is no mom. There is only Michael Jackson. That is it. There is only dad. Dad will be, and that was his rule, you know? And that's how he, I guess, supposedly raised his children, you know? That goes against the whole 2-parent household thing, but at the same time, like, I was always thinking, like, I'd like to have a kid, But with the paternity laws and the divorce laws the way that they are, I can't. I'm not gonna take that risk. I could be the best man in the world and still get fucked. I could be a millionaire. I could have 6-pack abs. I could be bringing in the money on the regular, and there would still be a woman out there that would marry me, have my kid, and then hold that kid over as some kind of like leverage and bait and arguments. And what the shittiest thing about it is that I can't tell. I can't tell what kind of woman would do that and what kind of woman wouldn't. I can't look at a woman. I can't know a woman. I couldn't even know a woman for 5 years and say that she wouldn't do that. Just off of my experience with women. Like, nothing is off the table at any time. Like, that will always have to be in your mind, in your background, in your mindset. And so, my buddy, he got away with it. During his divorce, he got paternity, actually. And you're probably not going to like this, but it probably had a lot to do with the fact that he was highly... what's the word? Involved in his local church community. You know? So while he was able to make his church community arguments, his wife wasn't. And I think that's what ended up leaning paternity in his direction. And I think also too, when he felt that it was coming, that like the splitting up was coming, like he started laying seeds. I haven't talked to him specifically about how he won paternity. It's just that he did, and that's it. And that's just so fucking rare that a man wins paternity. Especially in the state that he lives in. It's a very blue state. But because then I also think I look back at my stepsister too, and how like I look at my stepsister. I look at like the only people that haven't fucked absolutely that I know of that didn't absolutely like try to absolutely fuck the man in the divorce was my mother, because they were never married, and who else? That's it. Actually. Like, that's the only example I have of someone who didn't want to screw the man over in the relationship. Just to screw him over. I'm not sure if she could have. I think legally. But I think there was like a deeper reasoning to her core as to why she didn't want to do that. But like most women that I talk to always talk about how shitty their baby daddy is, and it's like I honestly don't think that it's true. You know, a lot like I lean towards not. I lean towards a lot of these men aren't nearly as shitty as a lot of these women say that these men are. I just see that there is a system completely stacked in their favor. You know, and I look at my stepsister as a prime example. You know, she got to go to school for free because she was a single mom, and she got her nursing degree, her nursing certificate, or whatever. And I remember her literally like screaming at the top of her lungs at the DHS folks on the phone. I was like, where do you get the fucking gall to scream at someone like that you've never fucking met in your entire life, and they're the ones in charge of giving you free shit, and you're yelling at them. Like, how fucking ungrateful do you have to be? And then I realized, oh, that's most women in that situation. Like, that's how they roll. You know, that is the understanding. And then I saw this other woman. She was talking about how there were people at the Social Security office that would suggest that people get divorced, because then she would be a single mom, but she'd bring in a lot more money. Just the fact that there's a man in the household, the government won't pay. The government subsidizes single motherhood, and I think, and again, shift it all the way back to what we were talking about the whole marriage, or the whole marriage and two couples in the home. If you have a government that's subsidizing single parenthood, it kind of is no wonder that politics are the way that they are right now, and why the national conversation and why the left is the way that it is. And why they're just so gung-ho and literally batshit insane, because it's all about being emotional and theatrics, and it's all that's that. Like, I don't want to be an asshole, but that is feminine strategy. That is feminine argumentative strategy, is to just be emotional. There was a feminine politician during the AG Barr hearing that later went on into an interview and said, "Can you believe he talked to a woman like that?" I could never imagine a man who had any sort of balls whatsoever. I could not imagine a leader of men saying that in any way, shape, or form. Can you believe she talked to a man like that? Who fucking says that? What person in a leadership position fucking says that and is taken seriously? Obviously, this lady. It obviously fucking works for her constituents. It just makes no goddamn sense to me. Your gender should not fucking matter. I didn't vote for you because you have a vagina, but obviously there are people that will. I didn't vote for you because you were black, but obviously there are people that will. I didn't vote for you because you were gay, but obviously there are people that will, you know. And then again, to throw that card down as if it's like an actual point. Like, no. All he did was talk to you like he would talk to any other man. And you're expecting him to talk to you differently because you're a woman? At what level of respect should he be speaking to you over a different level of respect to a man? Can he disrespect a man but not disrespect a woman? Like, was that what she was trying to say? Like, it would be one thing if he talked to a man like that, but because he talked to a woman like that, it was worse? And yeah, so here we are. And this whole kerfuffle that we call political system. And it's those types of people who make those types of arguments that are getting into power. Because there's plenty of constituents out there that will appeal directly to that type of rhetoric. Oh, did I read that? I'm sorry. However, as laws being as they are now, if marriage is totally open, you and I should... Oh, yeah. I did read that. Yeah. She is a product of an environment. But she's perpetuating it too, you know? It's just weird because, like, again, like, I look at my mom. That's not something my mom would say. and these two women are from the same generation. So it's like, why? Like, I don't get. And then I realized it's like, oh, okay, that's what it is. It's emotional appeals. It is strictly, it's theatrics. Like, it's the theatrics that are more important than the facts on the ground, more important than what really is. It's only if, and I see the pragmatism behind it, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that don't do the work to try to figure out what's true and what's not. A lot of it is just who you heard, what story you heard first, and how it was delivered to you. You know, so if you're told something along the lines of like, this certain thing is really important, and you're told that this is why, and you don't actually hear a counter argument against it, and you just let it sit in your brain, and then it's constantly told to you again and again and again, and you hear no counter argument to why, you'll just end up being like, why aren't we doing anything about this thing? You know, when it's like, I never heard a counter argument to it. You know, that's what a lot of the news does nowadays. Is a lot of the news doesn't have the counter argument readily available. You know, and they sequester the counter arguments to their different news stations. So if you want to get the whole story, you have to watch multiple biased sources to try to get the whole story. Yeah, I worry about it quite a bit too. Because it's happened. I've seen it happen to me a few times, you know, where I'll see it, I won't question it, and then it just kind of seeps into me, almost through osmosis, I would say, and then I just kind of take it all for granted, and I don't take the counter until it gets to a point where like I make it a part of my identity. It becomes a part of my identity. And then it's like, now I feel like I have to defend it or something. It's like, oh, wait, like I never actually sat down and wondered about the topic. Yeah, that's a big one, especially for BLM for me right now, is I've just seen too much. I guess that's what I need. Actually, I need to do that more. Because I was tricked. I was tricked with Chaz. The first news I heard about Chaz was the occupation and the kicking out the police and the lawlessness, right? And so I was leaning towards like that's criminal activity to start out with, right? Then I saw live footage like a few days later of the area, and everything looked normal, right? I was like, oh, it's just like a block party. So one side was saying it's like a block party, and this other side is saying it's a new zone within the territory of the United States, and it's like directly in competition with the United States and could be the breeding ground of a new revolution or whatever, right? That. So I was like, so what I was seeing wasn't matching up with what I was reading or being told. And so then I kind of started leaning the other way a little bit. And then, then those kids were shot. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's stupid. They need to stop. They've literally killed more black people. Black Lives Matter has killed more black people than what they're complaining about. And what's worse is it's killed more good black people. Right? Now, I don't want to get into this argument of like what's a good black person, what's a bad black person. It's mainly what's a good person. What's a person that I would like to have around to help buttress society and make it healthy, versus what's the kind of person I don't want to have around because that is literally a drag on society, and inappropriately hinders the law abiding, right? Like, I look at this Black Lives Matter movement. I think what's really weird is that they jumped on George Floyd as like the one, like, this is the guy, this is the one. And like, that's the big name. Like, that's the name that's constantly being repeated in the media, right? But the Breonna Taylor story is so much worse and is so much more convincing against police brutality and tactics. The George Floyd, like, I've seen new footage of the George Floyd one. I'm not as, like, it puts it in much better context than the footage that I had seen before. And I was like, oh, yeah, I hope those guys don't go to jail. Like, I really do. Like, I think it's bad enough that they lost their job. I hope those cops don't go to jail for what happened to George Floyd. And just me saying that makes me an enemy of this entire movement. But George Floyd wasn't a good man. And even the instances of his arrest, there were so many things that could have gone right, and he was going out of his way to make it wrong. Just put the fucking cuffs on, dude. Get in the fucking car. Complain about it later. There's not going to be a point where they're like, oh, you cried enough? Oh, okay, I'm just going to stop arresting you now. You made your point. You're right. I got the handcuffs on you. I told you multiple times to stop resisting, and you kept resisting. And then you kept saying you weren't resisting when you actually were resisting. You wouldn't get into the car. When we put you into the car, you said you were claustrophobic, even though we pulled you from a car. And now you're claustrophobic. And then you tell me, and then you tell the police officer that you're going to lay on the ground instead. Yeah, dude. Some of them are compelling, although I can't say that I have been convinced, because they could just be claims on history that are not substantiated by consensus. But there does seem to be something there. Yeah, there does. No-knock raids. No-knock raids are bullshit. And this is why I think Breonna Taylor should be the George Floyd of this whole Black Lives Matter movement, and she's not, which is, I think, unfortunate for the movement, right? She's like this side story when she should be like the absolute focus point of it, right? Not only was she black, but she was also a woman, and she was shot unjustly in a no-knock raid because they were searching the place for drugs, and they found no drugs. While on the other hand, you have this George Floyd situation where he's constantly resisting arrest. He is a big guy. He could be intimidating, right? He could cause harm, right? He was on drugs. All of this stuff. And then you look at his rap sheet and you're like, he did this, and this. Like, that is not your fucking saint. You need to get rid of that. And you need to put Breonna in his place. Because that is just fucking clown shoes. George Floyd is clown shoes. And to start a movement off of George Floyd's back is clown shoes. Absolutely fucking crazy. And any politician who's like, we need to do this because of George Floyd, automatically is in my ignore box. Oh, you don't understand reality now. So you go into the ignore box. But if they want to start talking about Breonna Taylor, no-knock raids, how libertarians and individual power-loving Republicans and Democrats should come together on these policy of no-knock raids, Yeah, I'm for re-looking at that because I think that some of that shit's insane. Now, I think there's an argument to be said from the Blue Lives Matter group. It's like, oh, well, these no-knock raids have, you know, have directly taken off so many such and such criminals off the streets, and all you're hearing about are the bad ones. And it's like, well, that's the problem, right? Is I'm hearing about the innocent ones. And I think it's better for a criminal to go free than for a innocent man to be incarcerated. And I've always thought that. Back when I was blue, now that I'm not politically affiliated. And that was like a cornerstone of was one of the cornerstones of our law system. You know, you don't just get to be arresting people because you have a fucking hunch, you know. And that too, when the police fuck up, like Breonna Taylor's family isn't going to get much like, God, there was that one dude who served 23 years in prison for a crime that he didn't commit. And I think he got like $1.6 million. All right, yeah, no problem, dude. $1.6 million over the course of 23 fucking years for a sentence to serve a sentence that he did for a crime he didn't commit. Get the fuck out of here, man. You know, and there's no ruination. You know, there's no ruination. Like, that should ruin the people who made those claims and the people who did that. That should ruin their lives to the point where it does deter others from trying to do the same thing. You know, you don't get to just make up some bullshit story and lean on a suspect because you think it's the easiest suspect in which to create a story about, and then try to create all this circumstantial evidence to support a suspect that didn't actually do it. Like, you're looking for demons, you know, and that's the problem. Like, our government and our law system shouldn't be incentivizing that. You should be looking for the truth. What did I need to do? I needed to upgrade this. I needed a carbon twine. Oh, and I already got it. But I need some gear too. What gear can I get? I need casting gear. I can get a hat. I'll get a hat. But anyways, that's my rant for the day. Oh, damn it. Cool. I might go to Taco Bell. How do you say that? Oh, I can't desync that? What did I do with that? I really don't agree with that, not being able to desync this. I guess I could discard it. Yeah, just discard it. Don't need it. Oh, I probably could have sold it. Or is it? Oh no, it's unique and tradable. I can't sell it. Shirtless? Yeah, it's too hot. Man, it's too hot. I don't blame him. I haven't really seen any good arguments for abolishing the police either. So, like right now, abolishing the police for me is effectively as logical as the arguments against gay marriage, which there aren't any. You know, it's just it just seems mostly emotional. I don't see. I've heard some of them are like we should have like a unit of mental health professionals or whatever that would make it. But what just like you would have to give them enough power to be able to arrest. And then at that point, what's the difference between a cop and a health professional, a mental health professional that can arrest people? Why not just have the police undergo more training and make them also mental health professionals? Like it sounds like they're saying get rid of the police and just put the police that we want there, which that's just like saying, you know, no, they can't get married because they're not a man and a woman. You know, like what? Like no, that's not enough reason. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. I actually not entirely on board with the funding of public education. I'm thinking it might be better to privatize it. Yeah, I agree. You would need I agree with the arguments for better trained police and more education for the police, which would require more funding. So not only do I not agree with defund the police, I don't agree with the more drastic notion of abolish the police, right? Because that there's the two arguments. There's defund the police, which is, make their impact significantly less. And then there's abolish the police, which means no police. No police in the city. There are other ways we can keep the peace, and I don't agree with that. I think there are too many strong arms out there that would love for the opportunity that police be abolished and would not give two shits if a mental health professional came up to them to tell them to cease what they are doing. It's not going to matter. Like, eventually you're going to have to get a stronger person in there to make the person submit. I think how the left is seeing it is that there are other means in which you could pressure a criminal into not doing crime. It's like, for example, this is just hypothetical. I'm trying to think like a lefty right now. You send a mental health professional out there. The person is deemed sane enough to have done an unwarranted crime and to have been guilty of it, but they still don't have the power to arrest. Because that's the main issue that I think the left has, is that the police have these execution level powers, and they're trying to pull those off, right? But a lot of those execution level powers are reserved for dire situations. And I think, especially in George Floyd's case, that's a situation where he probably would not have died if he hadn't had been on the drugs that he was on. And the same goes for Tony Timpa as well. So it's not a black or white thing here. When it comes to the Tony Timpa case, when I watched the Tony Timpa issue, the police, I'm supposed to feel sorry for Tony Timpa as well, and how he died. I feel just as sorry for Tony Timpa as I do George Floyd. Dude, you were doing drugs all by yourself, and then you called the police, and then you started wigging out when the police got there. And yeah, they pinned you down because they didn't want you rolling into the street. Like, there are a lot of reasons as to why they pinned Tony Timpa down. And there are a lot of reasons as to why Tony Timpa died. And one of those reasons is that he was like totally hepped up on drugs to the extent that he shouldn't have been. A lot of these deaths are deaths because someone shouldn't have been doing what they're doing. And there's no reason for the police to just know, like, oh, this guy is probably on this very particular drug, so I should just not do this particular thing. Like, no, like, that, I mean, I don't, it's like having private education is an option, but also having a base education is utility, like water and electricity. I think there should be both private and public options for that as well, including internet for that matter. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've just been seeing these public options. Like, there is public housing. And there's public food, too. Like, you know that you can get food for free, right? You don't have to pay a dime for food. That's not a thing that you have to do in one of the richest nations in the world. You don't have to pay for food. That's not a thing that you have to do. There's food banks. And there's also food stamps. But what do these systems do? Right? What ends up happening is people who take food stamps go to the food bank. They think, why would I ever go to a grocery store? Why would I pay money for food when I could get it for free? Why? Like, I'm just going to keep doing the free one and not do the one where... So it's like an unfair... And so when you're wanting capitalism to work and you want these systems to compete against each other and to get better over time, when you have this free option, it makes it almost impossible for the other option to go forward. Right? I think how food is doing it, like fast food, is that they're like keeping food banks on the down low. I didn't find out about food banks until I was like 20. Like mid-20s. And I remember I was like looking into it. I was telling my girlfriend at the time, like, dude, why am I paying such and such amount of money a month in grocery bills when we could totally get free food? And she was like, yeah, I don't think that's not how that's for poor people. We shouldn't do that. We're poor. we're college kids. You know, like, why are we spending this amount of money on that? You know, like, we're spending this amount a month on food. Why? And we don't have to. And then I look at the other option too, because there have been times where I had to go to the food bank. Food banks only open Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if you go on one time of the week, you can't go the next day in the same week. Right? So if I go in on Monday, I can't go in on Wednesday. But I can go in on Friday. So I think it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, I think, right? And it's only open during hours where people normally work, right? So it's open from like 11 to 2, right? So I can't have a job, a normal job, a 9-to-5 job, and go to the food bank to get the food, right? So there's all these things about the food bank and the free system, all these like restrictions that are like, oh, well, that they kind of filter out people who can purchase food. And it's only for like those without jobs and stuff. But again, like, for the people without jobs, like, that should be the focus, is to get them like a job and get them working and get them finding a way for them to make an income. Yeah, and then food stamps. All right, so food stamps is different than the bank, right? Food bank is free. Oh, okay. I'll wait. Am I queued? I'm queued, right? Yeah, I'm queued. What time is it? 6 o'clock? Yeah, I could probably do main scenario. Are you back? Or are you still getting tea? Might get some water. It's too hot. You back, man? Oh, it's not that they had extra judiciary powers, but it's like they had basically a license to kill, you know. And I think that's when I was talking about the left. It's like the left doesn't want a police force that has the license to kill, but some situations, and even the situations that they prop up as like prime examples, are like, actually that hurts your argument. Like there was that one shooting of the guy at the Wendy's. Like, no, man, like that guy needed to be shot. Sorry. Like, there's no, oh, but he just had a taser. Yeah, so? So? He just had a taser. He just had a taser because he beat the shit out of one cop, took his taser, and was going to tase the other cop. What happens if he tases the other cop successfully? Does it end at the taser? Or does he try to take his gun? You know? No, that guy deserved to die. And that's not... I think that's common sense. You know? Not to mention, he had already put people's lives in danger by driving drunk. Ah, now you're back. Ah, nothing. I was just talking about. You said extra judiciary powers. And I think you were responding when I was talking about how the cops shouldn't have be able to kill. I think that's what the left wants, a force that doesn't have like permission to kill citizens. I think like that's their main argument. They don't like the idea that there is a force domestically that can decide whether or not who lives or dies. My problem is that a lot of the examples they prop up as like prime examples as to why we shouldn't have a force that has shouldn't have a police force with lethality. A lot of those situations they prop up are actually arguments for it. like when I was talking about there was the shooting of the guy at Wendy's. I think it was in Atlanta. I'm not sure exactly what city. But yeah, this guy, he was being arrested, and whilst being arrested, he jumped one of the cops. He was able to fend both of the cops off, and he ended up getting control of one of the cops' tasers. And then he started running away. And then he turned around to shoot the other cop with the taser. And that cop pulled lethal force and shot him dead. And like, you had a bunch of people getting really angry about that death. And it's like, what are you being mad about? Like, he was being arrested because he was drunk driving. He fell asleep in a Wendy's drive-thru because he was drunk behind the wheel. So he is a direct harm to himself and others. And then he thought it would be a good idea to jump the cops. And then he thought it'd be a good idea to take one of the cops' tasers. And then he thought it'd be a good idea to try to shoot one of the other cops with the taser. I have no remorse for that man. None. Those types of people need to be deleted. They don't get to exist anymore. Like that's just dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision. And a lot of those decisions were putting other people in harm's way. You know, it's not like these were isolated incidents, right? This wasn't just him getting high and getting caught in the middle of the forest with, a needle full of heroin. This was not that, right? This was him literally beating the shit out of cops and drunk driving, and then trying to shoot a cop with a taser. No, you get to die time. Like, what the fuck is your mental health professional cadre of super soft police gonna be allowed to do in that situation? Like, oh, you just drunk driving, sir? Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. Why don't we get you a ride home? What if he doesn't want to ride home? You know, what if he refuses to ride home? And that's what happens with all these people that are under the influence of something. They all do this stupid bullshit where it's like, that didn't need to happen. None of this shit needed to happen. George Floyd could have prevented his death multiple times during the arrest. Multiple times. At what point is someone's actions... at what point is someone liable for their own actions? I'm trying to read, but how about considering your point of letting a guilty man free, rather than the chance of an innocent man killed? That coupled with the idea of innocent until proven guilty, maybe there should be levels of enforcement where first responder cops are there to investigate and attempt detaining someone. But when they resist, then the next level of responding enforcement comes to the scene and potentially escalates it. Not to rib you, to use your point against you. Not to use your point against to rib you. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I was trying to think of a method of, like, because that's the problem, is it's these things are always escalating, and they're usually being escalated by the offender, right? Usually these things aren't being escalated by the cops. Making the decision that the person is drunk and shouldn't be behind the wheel and that they need to go to jail for the night is not escalating the situation. But yeah, I also agree with you. It would require, if anything, all of these things, all of these options would require more funding. And that's what makes me more suspicious of it, right? Is the liberals don't want, they want all the funding to go, because I think they honestly think the police are a conservative force. And they're probably not wrong. Most police are probably conservative. So I think they're just trying to erase the conservative police that want to uphold the law and replace them with not conservative police. And I also don't think a lot of that money is even going to go towards policing. I think it's just going to go into left-leaning politicians' coffers. I think a lot of these things are just fronts. A lot of these movements are just fronts to get money for other reasons. I don't even think it's for more liberal programs, right? Because this is what I think. I think there are people who say that they're for more liberal programs, but the only reason they're for those programs is because they get a cut. Like, hey, let's do this thing in which I will eventually profit from in one way or another. You know, I think that's what's going on. I don't think it's out of the kindness of their heart. Yeah. Like it's just like nonprofit organizations, right? I think that's how these politicians and these political activists see themselves. So they see themselves as nonprofit organizations, but someone somewhere along the way is getting paid, right? They wouldn't do it if they weren't. And when you start looking at a lot of these like charities and nonprofit organizations, you find that that's exactly what's fucking happening. Like, none of this money is going towards cancer research. None of this money is going specifically towards breast cancer research. It's going to like 200,000 of like $350,000 is going towards just the running of the organization, right? Which means they're paying people to do jobs. It's just basically a company that asks for money. That's it. Guys did nothing wrong. That's actually one thing where I actually agree. Like, now, when it comes to like Hitler, well, I would say where he went wrong was that he underestimated his enemy. So I'd say that's what he did wrong. No, but I agree. And that's where where the term Hitler did nothing wrong. The only rational way to interpret that is, like, for example, how many people did Hitler kill? Right? That number is technically 0. Hitler killed no people. It wasn't Hitler that killed people. It was Hitler's ideas that led a nation whose army killed a lot of people under the guise of Hitler's ideas. Or no, I should say Hitler did kill one person. He killed himself. So yeah, I guess that's what Hitler did wrong, was that he killed himself. No, but when it comes to like the accusation of, because you'll find that reasoning with leaders of our nation. You know, how many people did Obama kill? Obama didn't kill anybody. Oh, but he allowed drone strikes. Yeah, just because he allowed drone strikes doesn't mean he killed anybody. How many people did Trump kill? Oh, you know, he did some drone strikes or whatever in Syria, and he allowed that. He didn't. He allowed it. It doesn't mean he did it, right? He didn't push the button. You know, he had this. There's all these other people that actually pushed the button. You know, and again, I think it comes back down to this: like, we want to find the one person to blame for everything, instead of the people that are actually at fault. Because it's too complicated to figure out who's actually at fault. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's retributional justice, which I don't agree with. Yeah. Yep. I agree. Yeah. That's what's weird about Trump. I think like Trump's like probably the bluest Republican that has ever made it to the White House. And I think it's weird that the left hates him so much. To the point where it's like, I don't look at politics in the same way as I used to when I was younger. I thought it was like a clashing of two different ideologies, and it's not. It's more of just power grabs. And I don't think the Republicans are can clean their hands of it either, because the same exact shit was going down during the Obama administration. And they kept doing all sorts of bullshit. Whenever Obama would try to get a bill passed, they would always remember they shut down the government like twice. You know, so it's like, you know, the Republicans can go suck a dick too. And a lot of that was just for power reasons, you know. They did it just because they could. Yep. That they shut down. Yep, exactly. Yeah, so they've been just as fucking ridiculous in recent memory, right? That's the thing too. Is it's like you can't just say, "Oh, they never did that," or "Oh, yeah, if they did crazy things, it was a long time ago." No. 6 years isn't a long time ago, or 5 years in some of these cases, you know. And you do just to start to see it's just power grabs. It's just power moves. You know, it's not really. It's about the acquisition of power. It's not about creating, you know, stasis and contribution. And yeah, and I also think that currently the Democrats are just addicted to public money. You know. And I find myself fiscally on the side of the Republicans a lot more than I am with the Democrats. Because it's like, I don't understand how it could be this in debt and you're still wanting all these fucking programs. No, we get none of the programs. No programs. No more programs. None programs. Pay the debt. When we get the debt paid off, then we can start talking about programs. We don't need more programs, you know. Unless you could show that it's going to unless this program is going to reduce the debt somehow, then maybe we could talk about your program. But, you know, we've gone this far. We don't need new money for shit. And that's why I don't really agree with the whole defund the police, because I don't think it's not in a Democrat's mindset to defund anything, right? They just want to move the funds somewhere else. And I think that's a little, like, it's not part of their normal MO, right? Because their normal MO is, let's start all the programs. We need a new program to start, you know, we need to spend money. And we need to get, you know, taxes for that money. I mean, you need to make it a part of the daily American life so that when someone says, yeah, we shouldn't have ever been paying for this in the first place, we should probably cut back on it. It'll piss people off enough, you know, because it's their main platform is to just take care of everybody through tax dollars. But I don't think that that's what's going on. I think people are just, they're collecting money. You know? And yeah, my condo association is doing the sort of thing right now as well. So like, we're not allowed to put stuff in the attic, even though we have attic access, we can't actually put stuff up there and go up in there, because the idea is that we only owe, even though I own the condo, I only own what's inside the condo, within the condo's walls. I can decorate the condo, but I don't own the roof, I don't own the siding. I can't put stuff in the attic because I don't own those areas. Right? Well, now they have to replace all the roofs because I guess some asshole built them wrong, and now they're starting to mold. Guess who's having to pay for the roofs? Yeah, fucking we are. Right? So, like, I pay dues every fucking month that's supposed to be paying for this kind of shit. So I already paid $200 fucking dollars a month, which used to be only $125, but now 15 years later, it's now $200. Now I'm paying on top of that another $500 a month to pay for a fucking roof that I don't get to go on. Like, what the fuck? man, right? And I think that's what's happening, like kind of on the larger scale, with the political arguments. You know, that's why it's basically what they're doing is they're taxing me. It's basically what they're doing. And then they argue as to why it's fine for them to charge me that. Oh, well, we gotta replace you. I don't want to replace my roof. Do I own the roof or do I not own the roof? If I'm paying for the roof, then I get to put shit up there now. Like, that's a lot of space I could be putting shit in that I could save in my condo. I could be using that as storage space. So I get to use that now because I paid for the fixing of the roof. And then I told them, so why are we paying for the roofs? It's like, oh, well, because we don't have enough money in the condo, so the HOA reserves to pay for the roof, the repairs of the roof. Then don't pay for the roof. Don't get the repairs done. When I can't buy things, I don't buy them. And see, that's the problem with people who make purchase decisions based on groups, right? They make purchase decisions for groups on their behalf, right? They say you need this thing, even though you can't afford it, and then they just go to the group and then charge the group. That's what the Democrats do, and that's what people who want tax hikes do, right? Yeah. Right. And it sucks when you start getting into arguments of these things, particularly these government programs, you know, like why they call it the projects. And because they're government projects. They're very basic housing. They're not meant to be good. They're meant to be cheap to make so that there's not a lot of money on the taxpayer. And there are certain low-income families or no-income families that get to live in them. And the concept is that it keeps homeless people off the streets or whatever, you know. But what ends up happening is people get addicted to that lifestyle. Why, if they could just play video games all day and wake up at 2:30 in the afternoon and just play video games all day, why would they go get a job to pay for their own house, pay for their own rent? Why would they do that? Like, why would they work hard to get something that they're getting for free? Like, and so you can see the rationalization for it, right? Like, there has to be this other innate moral grounding within you that says, I want to earn things. But that's the problem, is you have people that want to earn things, and you want people who want to just have things, who want things given to them. And it's really the people who have this concept of earning and have this concept of like self-dependence and that like that, right? Is that like those are the people that make a country worth living in. It's the people that don't do anything and that just want things handed to them and that don't want to work for things. It's those people that end up being drags on society and making it harder for those that do want to do the work. Yeah. Well, I'm not even sure if it's gun stores, to be honest. It's like, again, a lot of those crimes are committed with guns that weren't purchased legally. Now and yeah, that too is the gun debate. Jesus Christ. I'm not even a gun nut, and there's so many things I know about the gun debate than these people who are literally in charge of making policy on these guns. I keep seeing the term assault rifle bandied around constantly, even after these fucking politicians have been told that's not what a fucking assault rifle is, right? Like this is what defines what assault rifle is. They don't give a shit, you know, just because it looks like a gun that they saw in the movies, right? They think, oh no, like we can't have that kind of gun. Yeah, I remember there was like a joke on the Daily Show where they were talking about the restrictions on the types of knives you could take on board an airport or on an airplane after 9/11. And they showed a butter knife that was 6.5 inches long, and it wasn't allowed. And then they showed a hunting knife that was like had a serrated edge. It was like super fucking gnarly. Was totally meant to kill living things, right? It was like meant to sear flesh or cut through flesh, and it was only 5.5 inches. So you could take this like seared, or you could take this serrated hunting knife, and you could pack that into your luggage, into your carry-on luggage, but you couldn't pack a fucking butter knife into your carry-on luggage. It's that kind of bureaucracy bullshit that I just keep seeing pop up constantly. And again, it goes back to the face masks. Like, the face masks are a butter knife. And the hunting knife is people who have symptoms and are coughing on people. But they have a mask on. And yeah, and that's one big thing I've noticed. It's because, again, like I go to grocery stores. I went to the grocery store today. No one's social distancing. Everyone has a mask. No one is social distancing. Because they have fucking work to do. Right? Like, when you're in a grocery store, people aren't, like, a lot of times people aren't there for fun. They're there to pick up the shit that they need for the week or the night or the day. And then there's the people who are stocking the shelves, right? Like, I'm not going to, like, and I remember thinking to myself as I was doing it today, like, I'm going to sneak right behind this girl as she has this refrigerator door open so that I can get by with my bread stack and go along with my day. Social distancing tells me I should have taken a route that takes me like 30 seconds to go around her. But I don't think like that when I'm at work. I think of the most efficient route. And guess who else thinks like that? Fucking everyone. Everyone. No one gives a shit about social distancing right now. It's only about, well, we got the masks on. We're in stage 2. We're just going to hold this out and wait till stage 3. Stage 3 is never going to come. It's not going to come. It doesn't matter how many fucking masks we wear. Stage 3 is never going to come. And I honestly don't think stage 3 or 4 will ever come until you start getting like, this is kind of extra conspiratorial, but until you start getting Democrats in office. And I don't think it's because they're actually doing their job. I think it's because they'll make the argument that, oh, well, we don't have to do it now. And then they'll say, oh, see, look, under Democratic leadership, you don't have to wear masks. But under Republican leadership, you do have to wear masks. Don't you guys hate Republicans? Dirt, 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 dirt. when none of it actually has its... None of the laws and rules have its basis, especially around the pandemic, have its basis in rational thought. It's just blanket shit that doesn't actually solve the problem. So it's like we're all in stage 2, but we still have a surging of cases in all these places. But, and again, it's like I can't, because of how the media has reported in recent history, I can't trust what the media is saying. So I don't know. I don't even know if it's true. Right? What's going on? Oh, there we go. I don't even know if we actually are having a surge in cases. And I don't know what the effectiveness of masks are. You know, like it's because I can't trust them. Oh, you just trust the scientists. Okay. Like, but there are also scientists that disagree. Should I trust those scientists? Which scientists should I trust? Who decides which scientists I should trust? Who gets to decide which scientists get to go on TV and say what? Which scientists get to go on YouTube and have videos about what? You know? Do I go directly to the scientists, or do I get my information from journalists who talk to scientists? And can I trust any of that information? The answer is no, I can't trust it. I just have to try to put what I know about the spreading of disease with what is being told. And when I do that, I see that the law shouldn't be about wearing masks. The law should be about coughing and sneezing in public. Just like the law should be about not having hunting knives on planes. But no, instead the law is not having blades over 6 inches on planes. And then when you think about it, alright, so the box knives that the fucking hijackers used to hijack the plane could still get on the plane. So it solves fuck all nothing. That law is pointless. Now I just can't bring my fucking butter knife on a plane. I could still bring a box knife. I could still bring a hunting knife. We've effectively got shit done. Nothing got done. But there's someone out there patting themselves on the back saying, oh, we got this law passed that'll keep, people safe on their flights. No, it doesn't. You changed nothing. But this particular asshole gets to have credit for solving a problem that he didn't solve. And he might get elected again. That's what's happening. That's what's really happening. And that was mostly the Republicans back then. It was mostly the Republicans pushing through all this Patriot Act bullshit. Yeah, right? Yep, exactly. Well, and then when you look at that mentality is that's sort of like, look at me, look at what I did, but you actually didn't do anything. It's like inherent into our entire system, both our economic and political system. Look at how you get a job, or how you argue for why you should get a raise, or how you argue why you should get a better job. Most of it's bullshit. You didn't actually do shit. And most of these seminars for college kids on how to like interview correctly for a job. Most of it is all just wishy-washy. Oh, this is what you say, this is what you do, you know, this is how you embellish your resume so that you can fit into this situation. You know, none of it actually has to do with hands-on work in the field. Very little of it does. Most of it has to do with how you're able to convince other people that you're worthy of what you're doing. You know, it's all about like convincing people and not about actually doing things. And that's the majority of the people that we have in charge of lots of things, except for people that run their own businesses, you know? So like, except for the self-employed, like they only have their work in which to rely upon. You know, they don't have this massive conglomeration of a system that can convince people for them to just give them money, you know.
Bear witness to the true power of the Ultimo.
That's what's unfortunate about string theory and Brian Greene and because like when I look at Brian Greene and string theory, I just see a dude trying to popularize an idea. I don't actually see a pursuit of the truth. I see a pet project. But when you train an entire generation of citizenry that well, and you positively reinforce them by giving them the jobs that they don't deserve, the entire nation's being run by incompetent children right now. Right? And it's only going to get worse. Like we already have people our age running for government, like AOC and Tulsi Gabbard. And there's that Navy SEAL dude who lost his eye too, that's running. He's our age as well. I think he's 35. It's just gonna get worse. If you don't actually have people who have actually done things, where you just have people that have taken rhetoric classes and, you know, Toastmasters and call it a night, you know. And we're in their fraternity or whatever and did the minimum requirements to go through college and get their degree or whatever. My subtitles not working. Nope. They probably haven't been working for a while. Okay. Are they working now? All right, cool.
It is the blessing of light that confounds you. Your foe acts under the protection of the crystal he bears.
I think it's also interesting. You have this like entire generation of students straddled by debt. They can't get jobs in their chosen field. Like almost every person I know who's gone to college aren't actually in positions that they needed their degree for. They're not doing jobs that their degree got them. Now, I would argue that that degree is still giving them a leg up because all of these people are like middle management. You know, I don't see how I could be working for so long in the field that I've been working in so consistently and be still in like bottom rung position. That makes no sense to me. You know, I've been working my entire adult life. You know, the entire time. I took 2 breaks. I took 2 years off. But I've been working that entire time, and I'm still not in like a management position or any sort of leadership position or a technician or a technical position, you know. But I've seen people who also didn't go to college and get those positions. But I've also seen people who went to college for something completely different, and they would get those positions anyways as well. It's just it just doesn't add up, and it can be kind of frustrating sometimes. I don't know. It's something I don't like about American culture. I think, to be honest, it's this pathetic. It's this concept of like you say one thing, but you do another, so as to not be rude. And I think culturally they use it as a filter as well, right? So it's like the reason why people who get college degrees and then end up getting jobs in leadership positions that have nothing to do with their college degree is just because the college degree itself is just an emblem of leadership qualities. But it really doesn't mean anything at all. Right? Like, there's no reason that college degree should have that job when, say, for example, there was a private in the military, and before he was honorably discharged, he made his way to sergeant and like actually led people, right? Like that guy should be a shoo-in for any leadership position. The guy with the fucking bachelor's, you know, that spent 2 years at a community college. He only spent 2 years at any like sort of like 4-year college to get his bachelor's degree in a completely unrelated field. No, like that's not proof. That's not proof that you can lead. Sorry, it doesn't mean anything. Especially with like the stuff that they teach you in school. They don't really teach you anything. And it's so far behind. You know. I think I don't know. I guess it depends on exactly what you're doing. But I think everyone knows it's a crack shoot. I think the teachers know, the professors know it's a crapshoot. The students know it's a crapshoot. Well, some of the students. I still think there's a large portion of the citizenry that think that like you go to college to learn things. You know, and that is indeed not the case. You go to college to make connections and to climb a ladder. You don't really go to college to learn things. Because you don't learn anything in college. You don't learn anything that you wouldn't normally learn. Yep. Yeah, because this the set that I have on is vastly underwhelming. It's only eye level 115. And I'm pretty sure that the I should be wearing like at least 130. Not on this character. So I've got Romagus on Ragnarok and I've got a Romagnus on Balmung. This is a newer Romagus. I do have the Ironworks gear for every other class on my Balmung character. Yeah. What I wanted to do is I wanted to record everything. So I started Romagus anew. And so I'm recording leave quests, I'm recording side quests, I'm recording main story quests. What else am I recording? Dungeons. That's the goal, is to get everything recorded, and separately recorded.
You of all people must see the truth in this. You who have the strength to rule.
But yeah, the main idea is to get this Romagus, have him record everything up until where I left off with my other Romagus, and then that's when I'm going to switch. I'm going to go back to Balmung. But I have to get everything recorded. That means all of A Realm Reborn, all of the leave quests, all of the side quests, all of the job quests, all of the class quests, all of the logs, right? I get all of the... I have a recording for every single thing that I craft. If I crafted it the first time. All of the fishing stuff recorded. All of the gathering logs, all of the hunting logs, all of the crafting logs.
And still you failed. So much for the glory of man. You have meddled enough.
Yep. That's what I've done with my other characters as well.
The growing imbalance affecting the planet.
That's funny. Someone started the fight early, so fight dialogue is coming through the cutscene dialogue as well.
And physical will be warped beyond all recognition. Know you the root of this corruption? Hydaelyn. Like a parasite, she must be burned out if the planet is to recover. Cannot save you. And not but the return of the one true God will ensure her complete...
What you can do is you can Alt-Tab and then just exit out of the program, exit out of the game, and then it will force a pop-up that says, do you want to exit the game? And you say yes. And that'll quote-unquote crash you to the desktop. And then you can log right back in, and it will log you back into the instance that you logged out at. But without you having to watch the cutscene. So it's a way to skip the cutscene, even though it can't be skipped. Like once the cutscene starts, it tracks your progress at that point, and then pushes you past the cutscene. So you see, he'll probably already be half dead. Yep. Yeah. Quite quick. Well, that's the night. Pretty much. Hey. I think that'll end my stream. Next Friday coming up. Oh, I forgot to say what that call was about. It was the FedEx guy. FedEx boss says for some reason my DOT physical isn't going through. I don't know why it matters. I already have a DOT physical card, but whatever. So he said he'd text me a number, or email me a number to set up an appointment for another clinic to get another physical. I have to go get another physical and just let them know what time and what. But anyways, so yeah, that's also why I'm streaming today, is because technically I should be at work, or I should have been at work at FedEx. But I haven't started FedEx yet. I guess the paperwork's flubbed. So I'm trying to fix a paperwork issue. And hopefully after the paperwork issue, then I'll have a job at FedEx. I will dream of many boobs. Thank you, sir. We're going to see if any of my buddies are... If you won't mind staying. I want to see if any of my buddies are streaming. Are you streaming? Because I can just give you the one other person. That's watching. Warlord. Maybe Warlord will like watching you after I go to sleep. Warlord stays up late. Oh, not YouTube. Twitch. Because if you're streaming, I'll host you, but if you're not, then I'm just going to host somebody else. Oh, OBS is still fucked up? Okay. Jettison's on, so we'll just host Jettison again. I know I've hosted a bunch of times, but no one else is on, so we're just gonna raid Jettison. Oh, stream ending screen. Oops. Am I at it? Yep. Cool. Stream ending screen. Oh, I usually play music at this time too. Let's get some music up here. That's why I went to YouTube. Dirt. Oh, there's my alarm going off. Oh, yeah, maybe I'll get that. Totally. Yeah, we're getting to that age, man. We should start thinking about that kind of stuff. Like, what do we want at our funeral? Do we want to be buried, or do you just want to be cremated? Parts donated? Oh, yeah, for science? Yeah, that's not bad. I'd like to be food for a tree, but I'm not so sure now. I think maybe if I had kids, but I don't have any kids. But that is what I would have liked to have done. I like the idea of my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren climbing on me, because I grew up climbing trees. But who knows? They'll probably make it illegal for kids to climb trees in the future. But yeah, since I probably won't be breeding, I think the tree is kind of unnecessary. But I'll be too poor to get a burial. And I wouldn't want to reserve the real estate for just a dead body. I don't like the idea of that. I might do parts donated. I might do that. I think it makes the most sense. I literally said the opposite of what the subtitles say. I said, I think it makes the most sense. And the subtitles wrote, I think it makes no sense. Oh, that would be confusing for anyone who's actually dependent on the subtitles. Is my raid still going through? I think it has it's on a timer. Yeah, it's on a timer, so I'm going to have to re-raid again at the end of this. Oh no, it just automatically did.